help us. Nothing we can do.
That property is a pretty remote property. It's several acres.
I can hear his footsteps. I'm getting closer. The evil in his eyes I've never seen before.
Hello guys, welcome to Talking News. Please like right now, hit that subscribe button. Also, hit that notification bell if you would like notifications whenever I have a new story or upload. Oops, dropped my mic. Y'all, I'm in a hurry today. But anyways, this story that I'm going to go over today is kind of like the Chris Watts story. Minus the mistress, right? So, it's coming out of Milwaukee. I don't know if you guys have heard about this story, but it involves 3 children, similar to the Chris Watts case. I don't want to tell you right now what happened because I want to tell you later on, but I do want to remind you that it is, kind of like it. And who's one person we know that covers that story? I think it's, Armchair Detective, isn't it? Yeah. And he does a pretty good job doing that, and he's very passionate about it, so... And I think he's had a few trolls, especially, I think some that are related to the victims. It's not good. It's not very nice. They're kind of giving him a hard time about it. And I think a creator should be able to do what they want to do and how they want to do it. And if you don't like it, don't watch it. I'm telling you lately, guys, I didn't realize that YouTube sometimes could be kind of nasty. There are some people out there that actually try to take other people's channels down. And they work in big networking groups. And to me, that's evil in itself. It's no better than these stories I'm telling. You don't like somebody, just don't watch them. I definitely like to help somebody out if they're in trouble. So sometimes they don't care about you, but that doesn't matter. It's a matter of how you are in life, what you do in your life. You can't worry about what other people do for you because most of the time they don't care. So a few channels that I associate with is one of them's Duty Ron. Shout out Duty Ron. Hey. And well, that's about it really. Hey, I don't have time to do it, but I do know a few of them on the side. And they're in my niche, so I see their videos pop up. I'm subscribed to them, people like Armchair Detective and Melissa Ellen and all. I really don't know who else is in my niche because like I told you guys, believe it or not, I'm not into true crime. However, I am into justice, and I like we have a lot of these stories right now, and I just want to make it known that this type of stuff is rising. We're having a lot of issues with these type of cases, and we need to start paying more attention. So guys, I had to throw this together quick. I wanted to get it out there. I have company coming in today. I'm so excited. My nephew's coming in. And anyway, so let's get to it. You ready? Quick. This is about a girl, 26, and her 3 children. You only see 2 right now, but there's 3. Now guys, I will be doing quite a few environmental changes because I'm doing this video on a go. Anyways, let's get started. So there was an Amber Alert that was issued on February 9th. It was a Thursday for Amira Banks, who is 26, and her $2. Forgive any mispronunciation of a name. If I was a superhero, my kryptonite would be pronouncing names. So Zanya Ivory 5 and Kamaria Banks 4. And Amara Banks was the missing Milwaukee mother who was found dead along with those 2 children, and they were found in Memphis, Tennessee in a garage. So according to online records, Banks and her children were last seen February 8th after attending a funeral, get this guys, for her 21-month-old son who had died from bronchitis, is what is on the paper. So it's ruled accidental. And this is one of the reasons I couldn't figure out which direction to start the story, because there's two directions I could take you and it would give you two different outlooks on the story. But I decided just to go this way. Her son's name was Arzell Ivory Jr. His father is Arzell Ivory Sr. So according to Miss Banks' mother, Valeria Spinner Banks, she talked to a CNN affiliate, and she said she last saw her daughter the day before, and that Miss Banks' sister had actually dropped her off after Arzell's funeral. So she dropped her off at her apartment, and so that was the last time that they saw her. Miss Banks' mother says that she's just not the kind of person to just disappear. She's very consistent, and it's not like her not to have contact with them, and that she would let them know if something was wrong. So let's talk about the last day that Amara Banks was seen. So she was seen attending a funeral for her and Ivory's son. That's according to the criminal complaint. The father of the baby's funeral, he wasn't there because he had to work. So he worked instead of attending his 21-month-old son's funeral. So we know once she leaves the funeral that Miss Banks' sister drops her off at her apartment with her two children. So Mr. Ivory's account of what happened is he said he went to work as a security guard at Complaint States. He arrived at Banks' apartment after his shift. She was angry that he had gone to work and that she had yelled at him that he did not care about the death of their son. And that's according to the police report. Now, according to the report as well, they say that once he returned back to the apartment, neighbors told police that they had heard sounds of a man beating up a woman and saw Avery drag Miss Banks into her building as she screamed. According to this report, he said that he had actually went back to Banks' apartment around 1:30 a.m. Neighbors quoted what they heard, and they heard Miss Banks screaming, quote, "No, no, please don't kill me," end quote. I had to take that several times. That one's a hard one to read out. So on February 9th, Miss Banks' family couldn't get a hold of her, so they reported her missing. So according to the report I'm looking over, police say that things got ugly that night because Ivory actually said that they got into an argument, and this argument was over their son's death. He said Miss Banks blamed him for the death of their son and told him, quote, she could not even look at him because he reminded her of their son, end quote. And what's strange about that is Mr. Ivory said, if I say his name, guys, wrong or pronounce it wrong, forgive me. He told police that at some point, Miss Banks went outside of her apartment complex and that he had to, quote, coach her back inside. He claims that he stayed there for a little bit before leaving to go outside to sleep in his truck. And, you know, after the missing persons, the Amber Alert and everything was out, I guess it's a little bit after we're finding out that police did question Ivory. And when they did, he was in Memphis, Tennessee. He told officials that he didn't know where Miss Banks or her two children were. And this next thing that I'm fixing to share with you, thank God this happened. So, you know, I want to give a hero's clap to this guy. At some point during this investigation, Ivory's father contacted the Memphis Police Department and told them that his son said that he had killed the child's mother and the 2 other children. So this is in the report, but I don't have any more details right now, guys. So it's at that point, so it's early Saturday morning, Memphis police contacted the Milwaukee officials saying that they had contact with Ivory and that he had provided information that caused members of the Milwaukee Police Department to believe that the lives of Miss Banks and her 2 children were in immediate danger. So according to what I'm seeing right here is then Milwaukee detectives went to Memphis to speak with Ivory, who provided them with the information that led them to the garage that was storing those 3 remains. So at this point, he started talking. So Arzell J. Ivory, 25, was arrested over the weekend in Tennessee. He told police that he strangled Amara J. Banks, 26, with his hands in the early morning hours of February 8th in her Milwaukee apartment. Ivory also shared a story. He kind of led us to believe that this argument got way heated up. When he talked with police, he kind of confessed, but he also gave another story and his account of what happened that night. According to his version, he said that Banks had picked up a knife, stated that she did not want to live anymore, and swung it at Ivory, cutting his wrist. He said at that point he grabbed her and pushed her head into the wall twice, ultimately causing her mouth to bleed. So after she passed, he said that he didn't want his kids to grow up without a mother. Or more so, he did not want the children to grow up without their mother. And he decided he would go to their bedroom and take their lives as well. So he walked into the bedroom of Ziana, and he said he kissed her and told her, quote, "Daddy loves you," end quote. Wow, okay. Then he said, quote, then he told her that her mother wanted her in heaven with her, end quote. Wow, it's just, how can you get any sicker than that? So then he goes into the next child's bedroom, wakes up Kamaria. She's a daughter from another relationship, and she is only 4 years old, and told her the same things, according to the report. And unfortunately, the way that, he strangled them both. And this is why I say it kind of reminds me of the Watts case. So in his eyes, he was telling police that the reason why he strangled these 2 children was so that they could be with their mother in heaven. So Ivory then said or told police it's at that point that he carried them away. Okay, so this part of the story is where it gets really hard for me. So he carries all 3 of them to the children's room and puts them on an air mattress. And this is according to the report. He mentions that he actually planned on dismembering all 3 of them, beginning with Banks, but decided to go against that. So instead, he wrapped them in air mattresses and dragged them to the car. And if you didn't think that was bad enough, it gets worse. So he dragged them to his car, and then he drove around before disposing all 3 of them in a garage, which was in a complete different state, in an apartment building where he used to live. He then lit the mattress on fire. He told authorities that the fire didn't get hot enough. So he went to the gas station, obtained gasoline, then threw it onto the pile and waited for the fire to get as hot as he was happy with. So Ivory said he then bought a 40 caliber, fled to Memphis, Tennessee, where his father lived, and allegedly planned to start a new life there. But there was one problem. He ended up breaking down, telling his father everything. And at that point, that father had to make one of the most difficult decisions a father, parent, mother, anybody would ever have to make. And that was to call the police and tell the police that something their child did that was unfathomable, evil, and unforgiven. Once that parent tells that story, he knows that he most likely will never see his son again. But he calls the police and does it anyway. He done the right thing. The hardest thing he's probably ever going to have to do in his lifetime. You know, that's really hard on him. I feel bad for him. So he did. He contacted the Memphis police on Saturday and told them that his son had confessed to taking the lives of Miss Banks and her 2 children in Milwaukee. So now we don't just have 3 victims, we have 4 victims. That father is a victim as well. I mean, he's having his son taken away from him for an evil act. He couldn't control himself. He couldn't walk away. Now, according to police, when they talked to Ivory, and they found out that his account kind of contradicts what Banks' neighbors told police. You know, I don't have the complete statement right now because I have company coming in, and I just wanted to get this story out today, and I put a lot in it, but not as much as I would like. Story of my life since Christmas right now. But it seems to kind of go together in some parts, and some parts, you know, it doesn't. So I'm going to let you hear it and decide. So his account is the neighbor that lived in an apartment next door to Banks saw her running through the parking lot to another apartment bleeding from her mouth. And we know that he mentioned that he said something different earlier. Let's see what they say now. So the neighbor said that the man who drove the car that matched the description of Ivory's grabbed Banks and dragged her back into the apartment while Banks screamed, "No, no, please don't kill me," end quote. So the earlier account, we heard that he kind of begged her to come back into the apartment. He also admitted that he hit her head into the wall twice, causing her mouth to bleed. So some of it kind of goes together. So really, it's just more evidence, in my opinion, this, you know, for the account of whatever really happened that night. Okay, guys, so I did want to mention, you know, we did already mention the Amber Alert. However, here's an article that's saying that, Chief Alfonso Morales defended the timing on the alert because there was people complaining about this Amber Alert, which there seems to be a lot of that lately. So Faye Swetlick, for one, I mean, a lot of people have questions. What good is an Amber Alert if we can't use it? So his response to people being upset about that was, quote, "You have to also understand that foul play was not an initial piece of this investigation. It was a missing investigation that escalated," end quote. Same thing for a lot of these cases. If we have an Amber Alert, we should assume the worst. And we should not be, what's the word I'm looking for? I can't find that word, guys, because I'm in a hurry, I guess. But we should not pick and choose to the point that the Amber Alert is useless. How can an Amber Alert help anybody if the criteria you have to meet is almost unreachable? So I believe that if the Amber Alert's meant for something different than these 2 girls are, well, there's 4 girls actually. perhaps maybe we need a different type of alert, because the Amber Alert seems to be failing a lot of these missing people lately. So I'm not going to say, Amber Alert, it's your fault. What I'm going to say is, obviously we don't have enough alert systems out there for the types of situations we have. I think Anaya Blanchard also ran into this issue. I do so many stories, sometimes I can't soak up all that information, guys. It's a lot of information. But definitely, I think we need to come together, and I might start it. I need to figure out what kind of alert we need that will go and cover these loopholes we have. So anyways, if we actually need to pass a bill, which would be international, so to cover everybody. But if you're bored out there and you want to make a difference, there's something right there. We have those loopholes that we need to cover in between all those Ashani alerts that Trump put out there, and, you know, Amber Alerts, Silver Alert. So anyways, a lot of people are trying to use this case to raise awareness for domestic violence. Now, he was taken into custody, and they said that Ivory would be extradited to Wisconsin in the next few days of, you know, the time he was arrested. And at that time, they said they would be adding additional criminal charges. Miss Banks' sister, Mika Smith Banks, talked to Fox 6. She explained, you know, she was severely hurt by this tragedy. And she explained that, you know, her girls were mama girls. And she also said, I'm just so heartbroken. I don't even know what to do. I just wish she was here. She had questions, wondering why he had to do that to them. So I did want to share this clip with you. It does show Miss Banks' sister and how bad she was struggling with this.
Loud cries, heartbreak, and prayer on a cold Sunday afternoon.
I hate the fact that I'll never see her talk to my sister again. And it's hurt me so bad because me and my sister were so close.
Family members crippled as
The family is just struggling. The struggle is real, and you can see it here. So just watch for yourselves.
It's so heartbreaking. I don't even know what to do.
Police say 25-year-old Arzell Ivory is the man who killed them. Family says he was Banks' ex-boyfriend and Zanaya's father.
She was a very private person, though. Like, she was like an outspoken person, wild person. I'm just so hurt.
The three of them had been missing for a week before an Amber Alert went out. Video from News Chopper 12 shows the scene near 37th and Berlin, where police say their bodies were found in a garage.
I just wish she was here. Oh.
Her family finding words and
She really did it. How can you be so evil?
She always in my heart, my prayers. Today I'm gone, not here anymore. I just had to live with it.
So right now, the charges are kind of uncertain. You know, some of those charges he's facing are aggravated battery charge. And then on Tuesday, we're hearing that he was charged with 3 counts of homicide, which is connected, you know, to those 3 young ladies that are no longer here. All right, guys, I'm apologize, but I'm in a very big hurry now. I'm going to try to finish this up quickly because I do want to document this on our channel. So a reporter was able to gather some information on the background on the son that Ivory Sr. and Miss Bank had together that passed away. Okay, let's go over that quickly. So the report said that Ivory Sr. had been staying at Miss Banks' home. They sometimes call her Jerica, with whom he shared 2 children with, including the baby. Now, as far as we keep hearing some contradicting things saying that they are exes, but anyways, he was living with them because his house had recently been destroyed in a fire. According to this information, they say that Mr. Ivory stayed there with Miss Bank and their kids because it was close to Ivory Jr.'s daycare. So whenever he was working, he would take them to daycare, he said, but when he wasn't, he wanted to be the main caregiver for the 3 children. According to this, they're saying that he didn't feel comfortable having a babysitter come to the residence because of the concern for the safety of the female children. So it appears that he's very protective. So the morning that his son passed away, Ivory Sr. was caring for the children while Miss Bank was at work. And I guess Ivory Jr. got a call because his son was rejected from the daycare around 9 a.m. This certain day, I don't know which day it was, because he was not feeling well. He was pretty sick. According to this, Mr. Ivory actually took the baby to his work, showed him that this baby was sick, letting him know that he wouldn't be able to work that day. He then tried to get some food for the baby, but the baby wouldn't eat. He also tried giving him medication, but he would not take it. According to the report, he actually ran errands, arriving back at Miss Banks' apartment around noon, where the child slept on and off through the afternoon. According to the report, it indicated that Ivory Sr. said that the child's wheezing and gasping was worse than when he was awake, so he wanted to let him rest because he didn't seem to feel well. And around 3 p.m., he tried waking the baby up from the nap, but the child would not wake up. Then he said the next step was he woke the child and got him ready to go pick up the other children. Then he noticed the boy was making slow, gasping sounds. They arrived at 3:30 p.m., according to the report, and said that the principal told Ivory Sr. that the child looked worse and that he should get him to the hospital. The report said that Ivory Sr. stopped to get snacks for the girls, then went to the hospital where the nurse assessed the child and found that he had no pulse. I guess the mother was questioned, and the mother told investigators at the hospital that she had no concerns about Ivory Sr.'s care of the children and that there was no violence in the home. So this is why people are kind of questioning whether or not, he did this to the child on purpose or not. That is kind of questionable. It does sound like he neglected the child. He had no idea how serious an asthma attack is. There's no telling how long that child was suffering. This is an incredibly sad story all the way around. So this has been going on for a while for this poor Miss Bank. But a lot of people are wanting them to look into that ruling for the son. I mean, it was ruled an accidental death, but a lot of people are saying maybe we are to look into that. Now, I apologize. I'm not able to give you more on this right now because I have to go. I ran out of time. There's really not a lot more on it right now anyways. It's just a really terrible story, and I wanted to share this story, get it out there. I just can't believe this. I mean, both cases, so between the son, Miss Bank and her 2 daughters, incredibly horrifying, tragic story. And I feel so bad for their family because they are so hurt. And all I can do is wish you guys the best, and I hope that you get justice. So it's just so sad. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys soon.